Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. It is 5:32, and I will call this Eagle Pass Independent School District regular meeting to order. Mr. Mijares, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Mijares. And now we will have roll call. Dr. Hector Alvarez, Secretary, present. Ms. Glenna Purcell, Trustee, present. Mr. Christopher Hiller, Trustee, present. Mr. Samuel Mijares, Superintendent of the Schools, present. Mr. Richard Strieber, Attorney, present. And myself, Jorge Barrera, present. We will now move into citizens' communications and recognitions. There is no communication. And now we will move to recognitions. First up is recognition of Armando Serna Elementary Stallions Division II Girls Volleyball Team for being champions of the 2021-2022 Youth Girls Volleyball League. Mr. Cox.
Good evening, Mr. President, distinguished members of the board, and of course, Superintendent Mijares. Our first recognition this evening will be the Super Stallions of Armando Serna Elementary. Serna's Division II volleyball girls were recognized with pride and cheers for their well-deserved win on November 18th. Their hard work and practice made a way for a successful season, and they are now Division II champs. Congratulations to all the girls and coaches Alicia Ibrahim, Linda Cresdorn, and Brenda Chavarria for all their hard work. Go Stallions! If parents, hey, do we want to get a picture? We always try to get the parents involved if we could have that indulgence. Would the parents like to come up and grab a picture real quick? Parents in the house. Oh, it'll be a good picture. With the board. If we get the board in there, thank you. I appreciate it. Great job, Stallions. David.
Next is recognition of Armando Serna Elementary Stallions Division III Girls Volleyball Team for being champions of the 2021-2022 Youth Girls Volleyball League.
And up next, we bring out the Division III volleyball champs from Armando Serna Elementary. The Lady Stallions came out in full force, and they dominated the court. Congratulations, ladies and coaches, Mr. Armando and Mrs. Francis Salazar, for a job well done and winning the championship for their fellow Stallions. And again, parents, if you'd like to join them, up front, please, parents.
Next up, recognition of Armando Serna Elementary Stallions Division II Flag Football Team for being champions of the 2021-2022 Youth Flag Football League.
Rounding out our Serna superlatives, we bring up the Division II flag football champions. The Stallions stampeded into the championship game and came home victorious. The entire school applauds the boys and coaches for their hard work in bringing home another championship title to their school. Way to be Stallion strong. Thank you, Coach Danielle Tijerina. Parents. Parents of these players, parents, please come up and get a picture. All parents of these young ones. Congratulations.
Next up is recognition of Mr. Timoteo Chaides, Migrant Director, for being named Regional Director of the Association for Migrant Educators of Texas, AMET.
Thank you. On behalf of Eagle Pass ISD, the Superintendent Mijares, myself, and Norma Sevna, who cannot be here tonight, I would like to congratulate Timoteo Chaides for being named Regional Director with AMET. AMET is the Association for Migrant Educators in Texas. It is a nonprofit organization that supports migrant educators of Texas to ensure that every migrant student in Texas has access to a quality education. AMET empowers individuals at the national, state, and local levels as they equip each child with the skills and resources necessary to be successful. Mr. Chaides was nominated and selected as Region 20 Regional Director, which allows him to give voice to not only Eagle Pass ISD educators and students, but all of Region 20. Congratulations, Mr. Chaides, on this amazing and well-deserved honor. And it does lead to more work for Chaides, and he is not afraid of more work. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chaides.
Final recognition is recognition of Radar Elementary for being selected as the most clean and maintained campus for the month of November 2021.
Inspections have been conducted on a regular basis and on how well EPISD school grounds have been maintained. There have been visitations to not only school campuses, but district buildings as well. This month's recommendation goes out to Radar Elementary on their merits for an outstanding job on maintaining the school grounds to be clean and safe. Thanks to the hard work and dedication from the Mavs, the school achieved a total score of 65 out of 65. Congratulations, DAR, on your campus beautification.
For the record, Trustee Perry, Trustee Martinez have joined us 5:40, 5:41, and around 5:36. Okay. Now moving to district reports and presentations, we will take financial report, utility report, and tax collection report together. Mr. Mijares?
Good evening. You have the three reports we bring on a regular basis: the financial report, the tax report, and the utility report. I'm gonna hit some points on the financial, how we're doing with our finances so far. We have 3 months of operations, and our expenditures are within the budget. We're doing really good with expenditures. We've been able to minimize expenditures as much as possible. And on the revenue side, our state funding, as we had discussed, is going to go down. It's not going to go down as much as we had anticipated because our enrollment has been increasing gradually since the first year that we started. We're looking at about a 3% reduction in enrollment, which is substantially less than what we had looked at when we started the year. If you want to know what the dollar amount of that is, it's about $4 million that we're going to have a shortfall in the state funding. However, our expenditures, we've been doing very good with our cost initiatives. We've had several cost initiatives throughout the district, and our savings are going to be more than those $4 million. We will be saving more than $4 million on the expenditure side, so that's going to offset the revenue shortfall. So we're going to be okay. We are projecting the way the numbers look. We don't have any unknowns. We did have an audit last month on SR1. We got about $5 million from SR1. We did get an audit, and we're pending to see whether there were any findings, and then they're probably going to be auditing SR2 and SR3. As you know, our auditors will be presenting the audit. Our fund balance did go from 17 million last year to around 52 million. That's a very substantial increase in our fund balance. And we are looking at having our fund balance go this year again. We're looking at everything, and we're projecting that our fund balance at the end of the year is going to go from 52 to about $63 million. So we're in course. We're in the right course. We're headed the right direction, and we're hoping everything continues the way it looks. On the utilities, there on page 56 through 61, that's our first month of utilities. Billing is a little behind, so we have the first month. Everything looks that it's at the proper percentage that we need to be. And the tax report, I do have good news on the tax report. We are 3% ahead than we were last year at the same time, so we're doing very good on the tax collections. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, we will move to action items. Consider and take appropriate action on the request to approve the annual financial audit report for the year ended August 31st, 2021. Mr. Mijares?
We have Mr. Mijares here.
I'm Robert Carter, one of the audit partners. Our job as outside auditors is that you have an outside individual, independent firm looking at the numbers that staff provides you, and these numbers are prepared in a special format for TEA every year, and that's a different report that you get, and those numbers are prepared by staff, and we as independent auditors attest to those figures and indicate that based upon our audit, these numbers are fairly stated in accordance with accounting principles for local governments. Now, before you have two sets of financials, you have a short page called Conduct and Report of the Audit, and then you have a big fat report that has the rest of your financial information. The Conduct and Report of the Audit just gives you an like a bird's view overview of how the audit went, and it highlights what problems we have any, which we didn't, what type of consultations we were supposed to have, if you had any type of transaction that it was complicated, that was normally isn't encountered by a school district, which you hadn't. So all in all, I just wanted to briefly indicate that we had no problems. There was no significant adjustments, if any, and I'll go ahead and give to the audit manager the floor to go ahead and go to the details of the audit. But I just wanted to indicate to you that we, as independent people, independent CPAs, are prepared, do an audit of your financial statements, and we found that they are presented with no material errors. Thank you.
I'm going to just briefly go over some of the highlights of the financial statements. On page 4 is our audited opinion on your financial statements. And it basically states the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with U.S. accounting principles. We had no exceptions with the financial statements, and there were no findings with respect to any of your federal grants. On page 17 is the consolidated balance sheet, and this is the format that's required for TEA. It's a little different than the budget fund balance that Ismael was mentioning earlier. But as far as the $54 million he was alluding to, I'll go into that in a second. But so basically, the consolidated balance sheet also includes all your related debt and assets, as opposed to just the budget basis when you guys are initially coming up with your cash flow situations. There's a little difference there, but I'll allude to that right now. So on page 17 for fiscal year 21, Eagle Pass School District had total assets of $161 million, which primarily consists of your cash and cash equivalents of $54.4 million, and that's what Ismael was alluding to. That's what the actual cash fund level basis number he's talking about. Your receivables, which are your property taxes and your other due from other governments, were $31.9 million, and your capital assets net of depreciation were $74.7 million. Again, those are the three big numbers in your assets. Total deferred outflows of your resources related to your pension plans. These are basically prepayments into the plans because the state's fiscal year is the retirement system's fiscal year is December, so we have to do some measurement reconciliation with that. So there's $23.6 million in prepayments into the plans. Under liabilities, total liabilities were $151.9 million, which primarily consist of payables of all those different areas there, current payables of $18.8 million. Long-term debt, which is the due more than one, which are your bonds and notes, due more than 1 year, were $48 million, and your net pension liabilities related to the pension plans were $84.8 million. Total deferred inflows of resources, again, related to the pension plans, which are basically accrued expenses after 8/31, were $39.8 million, and your net position, your net equity, was a negative $6 million, but then again, this is based on a consolidated full accrual basis. The number that you're more familiar with is the cash amount of $54 million. On page 18 is your consolidated income statement. For fiscal year 21, total expenses were $171 million, which includes accrued depreciation expenses of $7.7 million. Under the program revenues, you had total charges of services of $421,000 and total operating grants and contributions of $42.9 million. In the middle of the page are your total general revenues, which were $155 million, which primarily consist of your property taxes of $30.2 million and your grants and contributions unrestricted, $123 million. The effect of applying the expenses against your program and your general revenues is the change in net position, which was a surplus of $27.1 million for fiscal year 21. And that concludes the presentation part, if anybody had any questions.
Any questions? So no findings? And
No
nothing
findings.
to keep an eye out? Nothing?
Nothing, everything looked good. And then one thing that did change was there's a new exhibit, which is, let's see, I think it's exhibit, let me see. The state, they rarely change the format of the financial statements. It's been years, but one of the changes was the, having to do with indicators of your state comp ed and bilingual ed. I'm trying to see which ones they were on here. Basically, you guys met the criteria for the state comp ed as far as the 50% percentage comparison. So that was about the only thing that was a little different than last year's. But other than that, like I said, no changes for fiscal year 21.
Perfect. Very good. And thank you for that, and thank you to the staff, Mr. Mijares and your staff. Very good job.
Yes, they're always very timely and very professional in getting us the information.
Please congratulate.
We turned around this audit pretty quick compared to other audits. This is like clockwork. Ismael always has his information ready on time.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
And congratulate your staff for us, please. Questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I so move.
We have a motion, trustee Purcell. Second by trustee Hiller. Yes? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Now we will move to consent items. We will take 1, 2, 3, and 4. Quick question, number 1, Mr. Mijares. What is that?
Yes, this is a change for board policy so that that has to do with the bidding. Yes, Ismael is here. Can you give us a brief explanation to the board on that?
Thank you.
Very brief explanation.
Brief explanation, right? This is allowing us to have also an extra method. Right now, we only have one method, seal proposals for construction projects. That's the only method of bidding that we're allowed to use right now because of local policy. However, the state policy that we have allows us to also use competitive bidding, but since local policy says that we can only use seal proposal, we're only able to use one method. This will allow us to use two methods, either the seal proposal or the competitive bidding, and we will use whichever method is more advantageous to the school district. So
Can we use like your Sourcewells, your buy boards for certain projects like that as well?
Yes, for certain, but if it's going to be construction, we're only going to be able to use these two methods, competitive bidding or seal proposal bidding. The seal proposals you can negotiate, the competitive bidding you can't.
It's lowest.
Yes. So this policy will allows us to be in alignment to the state policy.
State, not
Yes.
just, good.
And it gives us that extra method for us to use.
Very good.
It gives us a little bit more flexibility.
Yes, to use whichever one's the best for the district.
Good.
Any
And
other
for-
questions? I hope it was brief.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? And also please thank Brown Chevrolet for their the donation. The same with the Gloria Rodriguez Dodd Foundation. Please thank them on behalf of not only the board, but everybody else. Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion to accept the consent items? Motion by trustee Hiller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Purcell. Any other comments? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes unanimous. We will now move, the Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District will convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to deliberate upon the following matters. Number 1, the board will hear the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to TGC 551.074, and the board will hear the request to hire a professional employee to serve as instructional officer, subject to possible future reassignment by the superintendent. Do I have a motion to convene in closed session? So moved by Dr. Alvarez. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Martinez. All in favor? Motion passes. The time is 6:03 and it is December 14. Tuesday, December 14, 2021. The Board of Trustees is now in closed session. No action will be taken in closed session. Okay, the time is 6:18 p.m. The date is Tuesday, November 14, 2021, and the Board of Trustees of the Eagle Pass Independent School District is now in open session. And we will move to item number 10. Number 1, consider and take appropriate action on the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to TGC 551.074.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request to hire personnel to fill vacancies pursuant to TGC 551.074 as discussed in closed session.
We have a motion by Trustee Perry. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Trustee Martinez. Questions? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Number 2, consider and take appropriate action on the request to hire a professional employee to serve as instructional officer, subject to possible future reassignment by the superintendent.
Mr. President, I move to approve the hiring of Evelyn De Hoyos as a professional employee to serve as instructional officer, subject to possible future reassignment by the superintendent.
We have a motion by Dr. Alvarez. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Trustee Purcell. Questions? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Mr. Mijares, do you have any updates or?
Yes, I have a couple of announcements. A reminder, tomorrow is a community breakfast at 8 a.m. at the ICT Center. District Service Center Christmas breakfast is Thursday, December 16th at 8 a.m. here in the boardroom. We also have a police department presentation and holiday luncheon this Thursday, December 16th, 11 a.m. at the SAC Fine Arts Building, Exhibit A. On Friday, we also have our District Service Center Christmas Brunch, and we're going to start the Christmas Brunch on Friday at 11 a.m. All campus and district offices will be closed December 20th to the 31st for Christmas. Tax office will be open on these days only, December 20th and 21st from 8 to 5, December 27th and 28th from 8 to 5.
Thank you, Mr. Mijares. If there is nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.